The Philadelphia Eagles are not and should not bench Jalen Hurts in 2025. I'll tell you why coming up on today's edition of Locked On Eagles.
You are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. What's going on, Eagles fans? I'm your host, Louis DiBiase. Thanks as always as well for making the Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Look, I've been having a lot of long-term conversations about Jalen Hurts this week after that Chargers game. Over the last 5 weeks, it has not looked good for QB1. I have started to question if he does not grow as a quarterback, how he will age in the NFL when he's 30 plus years old. I've been starting to question if Nick Sirianni and the ever-changing offensive coordinator and play caller has stunted his growth as a pocket passer, throwing with anticipation, throwing against zone coverage, so on and so forth. I've started to ask these questions as much as anybody. But can we please stop doing this in Philadelphia, where we take these dramatic steps every single time things get rocky? No, the Philadelphia Eagles should not and will not bench Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts has earned the right to get out of the slump that he's in right now. Is he in a slump? Yes. Is he playing pretty bad football throughout the majority of the 2025 season? Is he underperforming based on expectations? Has he been a disappointment this year? Has he regressed instead of grown from that Super Bowl MVP performance last year in New Orleans? Yes, these are all facts. And I'm concerned about where Jalen is going from a pocket standpoint. But you would think, listening to local radio, the national media, even a lot of fans back and forth on social media, that right now what we're dealing with Jalen Hurts was the same as what we dealt with Carson Wentz in 2020. This is not a historic regression for Jalen Hurts. This guy has been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 years. He won you a ring. His win percentage is up there with the all-time greats in the NFL. He has still had a lot of elite moments this year that show you he's not shot as a quarterback. He is only, I am starting to question who he can be when he's 30 plus years old, but he's only 27. When this offensive line is good again, when the run game is back, when they have a better play caller, I still believe Jalen Hurts for the next 3 to 4 years, the player he is right now, even if he does not grow at all anymore as a passer, if the run game gets back on track, he starts to run more, and the play calling improves, you can still compete for championships year after year with Jalen for probably 3 to 4 more seasons before you have to start making decisions about the things that I'm starting to question. But people talking about him being benched right now in 2025, I think is absolutely absurd. And I've been very real about Jalen and his shortcomings this year. You guys know, if you're an everydayer, if you've been checking out as well our Everydayers Club, paying for the all-access exclusive shows as well, which I really appreciate you guys that have been signing up over this week. We've been really digging in to the performances of Jalen Hurts. It's been a disappointment, but if you put Tanner McKee in this season, I hope you are okay with the fact that Jalen Hurts will no longer be the franchise quarterback. I hope you are okay with the idea of losing Jalen Hurts. Am I as curious as anybody about what Tanner McKee would do in this offense? You're damn right I'm curious, because I think right now Tanner McKee, a lot of the things that he's great at, or at least I think he is, we've barely seen this kid play real meaningful snaps in a regular season of an NFL football game, but what I think he's good at are a lot of things that Jalen Hurts needs to work on to get to that next level to continue to succeed in the next phase of his career. I am very interested to see how he would do with pocket presence, throwing over the middle of the field, throwing with anticipation. I think his mental clock, Tanner McKee, is really fast. I like his vision. I like his size inside the pocket. He's a fascinating project in a modern-day NFL where coverages are getting really advanced. Defenses are catching up to the deep ball and to mobile quarterbacks. I think pocket passers might be revived like the woolly mammoth in the NFL at some point with the way this league moves in circles. So yes, Tanner McKee is an intriguing prospect, but he is not the future of the Philadelphia Eagles anytime soon. It's Jalen Hurts. And if you put Tanner McKee in just to create some sort of quick spark this year to win a couple games against the Raiders and the Commanders to get into the playoffs, while maybe, and I don't think it would be an upgrade, maybe Tanner McKee would help you in certain specific areas of weakness that Jalen Hurts has been struggling with. Even if that's what you believe, and I really don't, I think Tanner McKee is not going to be a better player than Jalen Hurts on the football field in 2025. But even if you believe that, it's not worth it because Jalen Hurts will be gone after this year. If you know anything about the way the quarterback position works in football, and I said this in 2020 when they drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round, look across the league when you have a franchise quarterback and you make a significant move like that, a benching, a top draft pick in the position, when you bring in competition, it changes the dynamic. Quarterback is not like other positions. Jalen Hurts will want out of Philadelphia. He will feel like you scapegoated him. And it's not just Jalen Hurts that's been an issue this year. It's been the play calling. It's been the head coach. It's been penalties and bad play and injuries on the offensive line. It's been an up and down run game. It's not just on Jalen Hurts. A lot of it is, but I just think it's absolutely not worth it to get rid of Jalen Hurts for Tanner McKee this year. Because if you do that, you're getting rid of Jalen Hurts long term. And for me, it's like, there's only one scenario I could see where Jalen Hurts, even if he does not grow anymore as a pocket passer, there's only one scenario I could see where Jalen isn't the future, and by future I mean the next 4 to 5 years, he's still the Philadelphia Eagles starting quarterback. One scenario. It's if Howie Roseman found a way to pull off a Rams-Lions, Matt Stafford for Jared Goff type of trade, where it's a very unique opportunity to trade a really good quarterback for one of the few players that would be seen as an upgrade, a top 5 player at the position that, because of unique circumstances, becomes available. Let's say, Joe Burrow, who was pretty negative, was pretty dark and shady today in his interview about not having fun right now, and it sounded like he was mulling his future in Cincinnati. Let's say that opportunity presented itself where you could trade Jalen Hurts and something for Joe Burrow. Maybe you consider that. Let's say Josh Allen at some point said, I'm sick of falling short in Buffalo and they're not building enough around me with that roster. I want to go play in Philadelphia, and you trade Jalen Hurts to the Buffalo Bills. Okay, then I'm listening. If Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens come to some sort of breakup and you can make that kind of Jared Goff for Matt Stafford trade, that is a scenario where I could see you replace Jalen Hurts. But outside of that, let me ask you, for those people that want to bench Jalen and might be okay with him not being the guy for the next 3 to 4 years, who is your replacement plan? If it's not a Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson caliber player, who is it? Kyler Murray's not an upgrade. Who are you getting out there that's an upgrade? Even if he doesn't grow, I don't see that upgrade scenario out there. Because if they get the run game back on track next year and improve the play calling, Jalen Hurts, you have a better chance of winning a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts than, I would say, 90% of the league if you get that style of play back from this run game, from a play caller, from the offensive line. It's been proven to work. It's a formula that's gotten you to 2 Super Bowls in under 4 years, and you've won a championship against one of the greatest dynasties in the history of the NFL. This team is not hitting the restart button anytime soon. They're not going to have a top draft pick anytime soon. So there's no big-time draft prospect coming in to replace Jalen Hurts. Where is the upgrade? You know what I'm saying? I don't see that in any way, even if Jalen doesn't take any sort of significant steps. Like maybe they draft somebody in round 2 or round 3 like they did in 2020 at some point to replace Tanner McKee. But I just think we need to relax, RELAX, to quote Aaron Rodgers, relax on the talk about Jalen Hurts being benched. Does he need to play a lot better this year for the Eagles to save this season? Absolutely. Does he need to grow in the future as a pocket passer to have a long career in Philadelphia as a good, high-quality starter? Absolutely. Does he need to run more? Absolutely. Does he need to be benched? No, he definitely does not. Why? Also, because there were some positives on offense in LA, believe it or not, and we'll get into those coming up next right here on Locked On Eagles. Today's episode of the Locked On Eagles podcast is brought to you by Mint Mobile. You know, there's no reason to let big wireless drain your wallet, especially during the holidays. Right now, Mint Mobile is running their best deal of the year. All of their unlimited plans are 50% off. That means you can lock in 3, 6, or even 12 months of unlimited premium wireless for just $15 a month. It's the easiest way to take your overpriced phone bill and give it the full Scrooge treatment. And what makes this even better is how simple Mint makes the switch. No contracts, no nonsense, just real savings and real quality service. Switching to Mint lets you keep your same coverage for a lower price. Setup takes only a few minutes. You can bring your own phone and number without any issues. The service is fast and super reliable, even on the go. It feels good knowing you're not overpaying to stay connected. Turn your expensive wireless present into a huge wireless savings future by switching to Mint. Shop Mint Unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. Limited time offer, upfront payments of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plan required, $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees, initial plan terms only. More than 35 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable devices required. Availability, speed, and coverages varies. See mintmobile.com for details. Thanks always for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. Thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network as well. Guys, you already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Eagles with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more. All for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedoneagles.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. And guys, also, there's the all-access Everydayer Club tier as well, built right for you. You can text me one-on-one all throughout the week during game days. You're going to get all-access exclusive episodes, an exclusive newsletter, and a 15% discount to the Locked On merch store. Again, head to lockedoneagles.supercast.com to join the Everydayer Club and unlock all access. You can also find the link in the show notes. Believe it or not, I actually thought that the Philadelphia Eagles offense showed a lot of positive signs of life against the Chargers. I was actually mocked on NFL Network on Tuesday morning after the Eagles lost in overtime by Isaiah Rochelle, I believe, is one of the analysts. And LeGarrette Blount was at the desk on that show, and I was nervous he was the one that was dragging me. I'm like, not the Super Bowl 52 legend, LeGarrette Blount, dragging my Eagles take, but it wasn't him. But I got mocked on NFL Network on Good Morning Football for suggesting that Monday's game against the Chargers was a moral victory. And why I said that is because heading into that game, the week before the Chargers game, I said that game would dictate to me whether this team was going to collapse or not, right? It was the game that was going to either break the dam or I think save the season. And while they did lose, the way this offense fought, considering all the things that were going wrong, all of the turnovers, all of the adversity, the fact that they almost pulled that out against a really good Chargers team, the fact that that defense carried them through 4 quarters and just refused to let the offense say die. That was one of the best defensive performances, one of the most spirited, huge heart kind of fights from an Eagles defense that I've ever seen. And so that showed me, even in a loss, the moral victory was this team is not going to roll over and die like 2023. I think as long as they can find a way to just win this division and get into the postseason, with this defense, they're going to have a chance against anybody. And it wasn't just the defense, though, that showed signs of life. The offense, even though they had 5 turnovers from Jalen Hurts, one of the worst, if not the worst performance of his career, there was actually a lot of positive things to take away from that film. One thing, to me, honestly, that was positive from that game was that Jalen Hurts, I actually thought, made some really nice plays late in the game, over the middle of the field, down the field to A.J. Brown. Like, This guy is having the worst game of his career, and yet still at the end found a way to make the play. Like if A.J. Brown catches that ball in the end zone in the fourth quarter to go ahead and win the game, what's the narrative this week instead of what we're talking about with Jalen Hurts? It would have been this guy, no matter what, even in the worst game of his career, when adversity strikes, when everyone's counting him out, when he seems dead in the water, written off, he finds a way to get it done. Jalen Hurts deserves credit for that. He made the play to win the game despite having such a bad game. So many other quarterbacks would have been mentally shot by that point in the game and would not have been able... Carson Wentz, I said on the show on Monday or Tuesday, I think, would not have been mentally capable and physically capable of making that play late in that game if he had that many turnovers. He would have been completely rattled. Jalen Hurts was rattled a lot in that game, but was able to lock back in and do what it took. Like that 3rd and 16 conversion in overtime to Devontae Smith, that layer throw over the middle in a tight window against zone coverage was an unbelievable play. Yeah, he threw the ball away on an interception to end the game in overtime off his back foot. Should not have on first down forced the issue like that. But I don't know. Like I think there actually is a silver lining in Jalen Hurts' performance. And also on offense, from a schematic standpoint, coaching was not the issue. Nick Sirianni was an issue because of how bad the penalties continue to hurt this football team. And that's on you as the head coach. But from a schematic standpoint, I actually thought that Nick Sirianni getting his hands more on this offensive game plan actually worked out. And I've seen a lot of good football minds, Dan Orlovsky, Greg Cosell, some of the national guys that have been very critical of this team and the offensive scheme and the route concepts this year. They even said it looked a lot better against the Chargers than it has in past games this year. The route concepts were better. I saw some moving pockets, alignments for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and reduced splits. It was a lot more advanced and nuanced than it's been all year, and I think it showed. I think this team actually moved the football. The issue here was your quarterback just turning the football over at an insane clip. Like, I know they didn't score 20 points yet again. They haven't done it since the Cowboys game. But for me, like, the play calling actually I thought was a step in the right direction. Jalen Hurts battled. A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, and Devontae Smith made a lot of impressive plays. And another big thing was the run game got back on track. Saquon Barkley looked as good as he has all year. 122 rushing yards, a 52-yard touchdown, and a close game in the second half. 6.1 yards per carry. The run game, again, it was up and down. They still cannot run the football in shotgun on 1st and 10. The inside zone play just never works. But from under center, the run game looked back on track. If you can run the football like that down the stretch here, we'll see what happens against the Raiders, but if you can do that down the stretch, you're going to have a chance. If the run game is back on track and the defense is playing this well and the passing game could just stop turning the ball over late in the fourth quarter, I actually thought there was a lot of positive signs from that offense. Even the offensive line, again, the penalties are just brutal. The run game, protection-wise, was still a little bit inconsistent, but I thought they protected Jalen Hurts pretty well, all things considered. The Chargers have a pretty good trio of pass rushers. Tui Pelotu, Odafe Owe, Khalil Mack. Like, that's a pretty solid trio of pass rushers on the edge that can also play inside. And I didn't think Jalen Hurts was running for his life all game. I thought he was pretty protected. So for me, even in a game where that first half was such a disaster, I mean, that play where Jalen throws a pick, gets the ball back because Will Shipley punched it out on the fumble, and then Jalen fumbles it away again. Like, that was just this season perfectly represented by one singular play. But overall, I think that's the most positive game from an offensive standpoint that they've had since, the first half of the Dallas game, but outside of that, probably since the Giants game before the bye. And that's saying something. Obviously, it's a low bar right now, but that's something to hold on to, is that if this offense can just get out of their own way, if they can just stop turning the ball over in really bad moments, if they could stop getting penalties. If Jalen said it best today, it's like every time it feels like they're getting going, they have an opportunity to take control, build momentum, something else gets them. If they can just stop being so self-destructive, I think there are some signs of life after that Chargers game. In the way this defense plays, they're going to have a chance if this offense can just Again, find a way to not be the reason. You're not going to win because of this offense, but you can win with them. You just got to stop winning or losing because of them or winning in spite of them. But regardless, this defense is going to give you a chance, and we got to give them their flowers coming up right here on Locked On Eagles. All right, guys, today's episode of the Locked On Eagles podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place live bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, we're wrapping up this Wednesday edition of the Locked On Eagles podcast. Thanks so much for making us your first listen each and every day. Make sure your second listen is the Locked On NFL podcast. 2 episodes a day, Monday through Friday. Tyler Rowland gets you started in the morning. Tony Wiggins has you in the afternoon. You can find it wherever you get Locked On Eagles and on YouTube as well. And guys, again, make sure you subscribe. The Everydayer Club, $5 a month, gets you shows with no interruption, members-only Discord access, and more. $15 a month gets you one-on-one texting with me throughout the week, even on game days, all-access episodes, an exclusive newsletter, a 15% discount to the Locked On merch store, and more. Make sure to head to lockedoneagles.supercast.com to join the Everydayer Club and unlock all access. Let me tell you, this defense, another reason that I'm still holding on hope, and it feels like the season is on life. It's on life support after losing 3 straight games. And with the way the quarterback is playing, it doesn't feel good, right? It feels like the momentum, like this, it's just snowballing like it was in 2023. And it's, can you get out of your own way at this point, or are they dead in the water? I don't believe they are. I don't believe, even though there are things that on the offensive side of the ball, they're not going to fix until 2026. And there's real long-term questions about the offense. I still think they're going to have a chance this year if they can just find a way to get a home game, to win this division, and get into the postseason. Because this defense, not only did the offense show some positives in that Monday night game, again, like I said earlier, that defensive performance was one of the amount of heart and just never say die that they provided for this team, the spark that defense gave the offense, just holding on and finding a way to get them the ball back until they were able to figure it out in the end and almost find a way to win the game was just inspirational. I'm not going to lie. That was one of the more emotional games for me watching the Eagles since the Super Bowl last year because I was proud of them. I don't know. For me, it's like I was really nervous heading into that game that this was going to be 2023 all over again, that this team was going to just completely give up. And yes, they did lose, but it was so frustrating and concerning to see what happened with Jalen Hurts. But to see the way they battled showed me, like, yeah, they're still in there. Like, they're going to fight all the way to the end. And, like, it wasn't just, Nakobe Dean. It was Jordan Davis. It was Jalyx Hunt. It was Quinyon Mitchell. It was Cooper DeJean. It was the entire defense that just put together an unbelievable performance. I mean, Quinyon Mitchell, he was not targeted until late in the second half of this game against a really good Chargers trio. Cooper DeJean was so good against the run, in coverage against Ladd McConkey in the slot. Adoree Jackson had a couple huge forced incompletions and an interception in the first half. That trio of corners was so good against a good Chargers weapon group of Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, Oronde Gadsden. Q, Adoree, and Coop shut those guys down. I mean, that's right now it looks like the best trio of corners in the NFL. Listen to this stat. So Quinyon Mitchell has forced the highest percentage of tight window throws in the NFL at 41.3% this year. Guess who's number 2? Adoree Jackson at 41.1%. Quinyon Mitchell is first this year in catch rate allowed, tight windows forced, average target separation, fewest passing touchdowns allowed, 0, second in yards after the catch per reception, third in passer rating allowed, fourth in forced incompletions, and fourth in passes defended. You want to hear Cooper DeJean's numbers? Okay, in the slot, he's number 1 in PFF run grade among all slot corners, number 1 in PFF overall coverage grade, first in passer rating allowed, first in fewest touchdowns allowed. Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell combined passing touchdowns allowed this year, big ol' 0. Second in yards allowed per coverage snap, second in missed tackle percentage, second in tackles for a loss or no gain. I mean, unbelievable. When you have that in the secondary, when you have Nakobe Dean, the best blitzing linebacker in football right now, at linebacker, and Zach Bond, who I think has been up and down lately, but had a pretty good bounce back game against the Chargers. When you have those guys at linebacker and Jordan Davis looks like Dexter Lawrence last year, that's what you got from Jordan Davis on Monday night. 1.5 sacks, and he probably could have had 3 or 4. He was so good against the run. I mean, there were a couple plays where Marion Hampton tried to get up the middle, and Jordan Davis just stood him up, and Hampton tried to go low on him and push him back even for an extra yard or a half a yard, and just did not move. Like, Jordan Davis just anchored in, and you could not move him off his spot. The way this kid has developed as a pass rusher, he didn't get a sack on this play, although he had a sack and a half. But there was a play in the first half. He had this athletic swim move where he just dominated a guard one-on-one. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is what we've been wanting for years now out of Jordan Davis, and we're getting it right now. Jalyx Hunt is breaking out. 2.5 sacks in that game against the Chargers. I thought I saw a great Jalyx Hunt stat. Yeah, here, from Jimmy Kempski. In the last 7 games, Jalyx Hunt has 4.5 sacks, 13 quarterback hits, 2 interceptions, including a pick 6, a forced fumble, and 2 pass breakups. I mean, Moro Ojoma's been great. Jalen Phillips was really good against the Chargers. I thought Nolan Smith was very active in that game. That defense, how elite they looked. Again, it's devastating. It didn't result in a win, that they couldn't win it for those guys. But again, as long as this offense doesn't implode, if they can just beat the Raiders, don't let Kenny Pickett pull a Drew Lock 2.0 from 2023 in Seattle. If you can get a couple more wins, get this division locked up. I know it doesn't feel good about what's going on with Jalen Hurts right now, and the play calling, the penalties continue. All of those issues are still issues. But I don't know, man. In this year's NFL, I've said it a bunch of times on the show now, but as long as this defense doesn't give up and they play like that against a star quarterback in Justin Herbert and a good Chargers offense, they're going to have a chance. Just get the division. Get a home game. Just get in. Take care of business against... You have 3 of your next 4 games are against teams that are dead in the water. The Raiders, the Commanders twice, and the Bills. The Bills game's going to be tough. But if you could find a way just to get those 3 wins and get to 11 wins on the year, they're going to have a chance. And that doesn't mean you don't have real long-term things to fix. But for this year, I'm not giving up, and the defense will carry you. I really believe that. The defense could carry you. The offense just, instead of, again, late in the game, they used to make the play to win it. The last 3 games, they've been making the plays to lose it. If you can stop the turnovers late in these one-score games, maybe win the game by more than 1 score, this defense is going to give you a chance to do anything you want to do. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's edition of Locked On Eagles. Thanks so much for making us your first listen each and every day. Until tomorrow, thanks as always for downloading, watching, and listening, and let's go Birds. Fly, Eagles, fly.